I belong to the African American Quilt Guild of Oakland, and we were planning on a quilt exhibition, which was called Neighborhoods Coming Together, Quilts Around Oakland. The challenge was to create quilts that, tell of the people, place, environment, and history around Oakland. And so the first one that I chose was like the Lake Merritt. So I did a quilt on Lake Merritt. Because that was like my first place that I lived, above the lake, and I just love the lake. This was in 2016, and that was where the Black Panther Party Oakland was getting ready to celebrate their 50th anniversary. So while I was finishing, because the quilt that I was working on was like working out of the box for me, it was a little bit more of an art quilt and type rather than a traditional quilt like that, where it's the pattern and so it took me. It was almost like giving birth to Roger. It took me 9 months to finish that quilt, and I had coaching and people helping me out. So at the same time, as I got further along and I was getting my breakthrough on that quilt, then I was like, wait a minute, I need to do one on the Black Panther Party. And it was like 50th anniversary. They were such an important part of Oakland history. So I was starting to formulate in my mind, about my Black Panther Party quilt, and then it's like, okay, how do I want to, what story do I want to tell with this quilt? And the story that I, needed to tell was the community survival programs. And then the 10-point platform. And so that's kind of the story that I'm telling in the quilt. And, so it kind of shows, had the bigger image of the woman, right? And then that's an iconic kind of the brothers in formation, and then, I'm listing, like some of the, survival programs and then the 10-point platform. And the other story, when you look at the 10-point platform, is that when you look at each and every one of those items are still relevant to this day, because they talk about, in the platform was decent housing, free health care, an end to oppression, and community control of our institutions, and an end to police, violence against the poor communities. The list goes on, and every single one of those items in the platform is still relevant to this day. I'm the eldest of three children. My mother and father met in Germany when my father was stationed over there in the late 40s. They fell in love and got pregnant first with me, and then had to ask permission to get married in the military. So I was actually made in Germany, but born here in the United States in Tacoma, Washington, in 1949. My father's in the military. He was career in the military for 25 years, and so we traveled. We kind of back. Tacoma was our base, and traveled back and forth. But we were stationed in Anchorage, Alaska, for a couple of years. Then we were stationed in France for 4 years, and then back to the States By then my mom was tired of traveling, so we stayed, and he kind of had a couple more tours of duty around the world. Kind of around the country, and then Korea, and so was finished, raised, and graduated high school in Tacoma. Oh, wow. So having children, meaning one child, my son Roger. Right. How would I introduce them? So I would like, hear these, fierce, black warrior sisters, no nonsense, hard working, coming together, not support, but protect the community. Was all in, hard working. Leaders, having to fight these brothers who still had some issues, and had to be put in their place and whatnot. But and the ones that were the true backbone, and that's why it's so important to celebrate the women, because we knew we knew where the strength was and the backbone, and it wasn't this or this, it was like it was here and here.
My name is Jilchristina Vest, and I am the founder and curator of the West Oakland Mural Project, which is the home of the Women of the Black Panther Party mural and the mini museum at the mural, and we're in West Oakland, California. Well, I bought the house 22 years ago, and I bought in this immediate particular neighborhood because of the legacy of the Black Panther Party. I had Angela Davis as a professor from 89 to 92, 93, something like that, and sparked my little baby revolutionary woman in me as I was, 22 years old maybe. And then the more I learned about Oakland, and the more I learned about the history, and the more I learned about the Panthers, I recognized that this immediate area was really, really a hub, a Panther hub. And in the mid-90s, I said, I'm gonna buy a house there. I just wanna be in that legacy. I wanna be around that history. And then about 5 years after is when I found out that my house sits across the street from where Huey Newton was assassinated in 1989. So then I was completely overwhelmed. I was like, wow, I bought a house in West Oakland because of the Black Panthers, and I bought the house across the street from where the founder had been killed. So I was like, okay, there's a connection happening.
To me, that pops to mind, when we think about the environment and the whole, is the community members. and and how wherever the party was operating, there was like full support from the community, because they recognized it, what we were doing, they trusted us. And the trust part was, was so important, and you felt it and you knew it, because they would come out, volunteer, trusted you to come to the clinic and get clinic services, bought the newspapers, because that little 25 cents, 50 cents was supporting the operation. And that's what made the Black Panther Party such a threat to this corrupt system, and because those are words that you can still, that were quoted from, J. Edgar Devil Hoover, that this is the biggest threat because they're actually winning the hearts and minds of the people. And so that's why the COINTELPRO operation was set up in order to tear us down, and through the provocateurs and the setups, police setups and FBI setups to actually tear down, and and eventually, as history said, that they were successful. The young sisters out there, because we saw it during the George Floyd protests. So and the sisters, so they, formed, Black Lives Matter and organizational, passion, getting out there unafraid, working hard, to right things. So, so I really think that the young folks that have learned it, and probably the other lesson to learn is to, think things through, be a little bit more methodical, be a little bit more, don't get distracted and off track, but to keep doing your thing, because your history, it's in your DNA. We've had to survive for 400 years, and and sisters were out there, having to, look out for their families, take care of their kids, whether there was a man, around or not. But they were the backbone, and they had to, they were our warriors. So I'm only a little bit into some of the into some of the comic. So, but hey, Wakanda forever. So.
Happening. Then fast forward to June of 2020, a lot of it had to do with the invisibility of Breonna Taylor and how yet again devastating that was as a Black woman in America, where her name became a part of the rebellions in 2020, but she was murdered 2.5 months before George Floyd. And granted, it wasn't videotaped, thank God, but nobody took to the streets outside Louisville, Kentucky for her. And it was just another time where there was this invisibility. And so when I decided to do the mural, and I was like, oh, well, I bought the house because the Panthers, it's gonna be like a Panther mural, and it's gonna be about Sandra Bland and Breonna Taylor, and all these ideas were swirling around. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. The Black women of the Panther Party are completely invisible. That's exactly what the mural should be dedicated to, because I know Panther women, but yet I don't know anything about the Panther women because it's not something that's spoken of. And so within probably, I don't know, the first 48 hours, it was determined that it was going to be the Say Her Name Women of the Black Panther Party mural. and that there was going to be 40-foot tall women on the side of my house that were going to be undeniable, taking up space unapologetically and without permission, and you would not be able to not see them. You cannot. They're visible, visible, visible. And they're so gigantic that now anybody who comes to the house is literally forced to look up to Black women. So when I decided to do the mural, the first person I reached out to was Erica Huggins, and somebody who I've shared community with for quite some time, and somebody who I needed her permission. And I wanted to make sure that this story, which isn't my story, so I need somebody else's permission to tell this. I need a Panther's permission. So I asked her, she asked comrades, they all gave the green light. And the main thing that I said to her, because in this beginning, I didn't know what it was gonna look like. I didn't understand what the imagery was gonna look like. And I just said to Erica, I just want a mural on the side of my house that when Black girls and Black women come to it, their shoulders go back a little bit, their neck straightens, their chin goes up, and they're like, yeah, those are my people. That's who I come from.